What's going on, party people? It's your boy, the host with the most, Captain Zeus, followed by Lucky, back with another Nerds and Squares small talk mini podcast episode here for you. It's been a minute since we've really been back on here. You know, life is crazy. The holiday season was happening. Happy New Year's, everybody. 2025, brand new year, brand new news, and brand new topics to talk about. And today we're going to be going over some more DC topics because the DCU has honestly been pumping lately. A lot of stuff has been circulating around and a lot of interesting things to talk about. Creature Commandos, the show is wrapping up here. Depending on when you see this, the finale is either already out or is about to come out next week. But nevertheless, that's coming out. Superman trailer came out. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on here. And some new announcements about some upcoming projects. The first thing here is Clayface is getting its own DCU movie. It's going to be coming out in 2026, written by Mike Flanagan. Now, for those of you that don't know who Mike Flanagan is, Lucky here is going to tell you a little bit about him because this is his genre. This is his forte. Lucky, what's this Mike Flanagan all about?
Yeah, so Mike Flanagan, he has kind of grew his fandom with Netflix shows. In Netflix shows such as The Haunting of Bly Manor, The Haunting of Hill House, he did a movie, Oculus, and those are all horror genre movies/shows. Fantastic. What I'll say about Mike Flanagan, when it comes to horror, he hits the nail on the head. I can't speak for anything that he might have done outside of the horror genre, but with this being Clayface, my assumption is they want a horror type as character. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, Zeus, and I'm going to say the Clayface movie in 2026, he's going to be a top 5 DCU villain.
Ooh.
And the biggest reason why is because Clayface deserves some love. He is a failed actor who was never pretty enough. When you go back and you read a bunch of Clayface, he feels like he's not handsome enough. He feels like he's not a good enough actor, which kind of spirals him into this thing where he becomes Clayface and he, in many medias, becomes the laughing stock of a group. But Clayface is a very tragic story. And I think a lot of what Mike Flanagan does so well is tragedy. The Haunting of Hill House, the first time I watched that show, it's, I believe, 6 to 8 episodes. It really made me tear up. It did. And this is a horror show. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be on your edge of your seat, ready to like throw up and cry and just go hide in a corner. I was tearing up because of the way he was able to connect this family dynamic all into one show and follow along and do perfect flashbacks into modern day, into current situations. And he's a very fluid director. So there is going to, I'm assuming, be a lot of flashbacks into Clayface's backstory and a lot of that tragedy that kind of comes through. And if this is done correctly, Zeus, 2026, I mean, you have Lanterns, you have Supergirl coming out in 2026. Those are big heavy hitters that Clayface is going to be going up against. I think Clayface is going to be such a breath of fresh air, and it's really going to be a fun introduction into more of a rated R scene with DC. If done correctly, Clayface is going to be not only a scary movie, a thrilling movie, but it's going to impact a lot of people emotionally that I don't think they will expect when going to a theater to watch this movie. There is so many layers that Flanagan goes through when he does these shows, and it has always impressed me on how every character is very approachable to the audience. And in saying that, it's very digestible to watch a lot of Flanagan's work while also being complex and showing real human emotion in real time. And it's not very cliche as well, which I find to be a breath of fresh air, because oftentimes in the horror genre, as I cover constantly, there's a lot of cliches and there's a lot of traps that you can fall into when you're talking about horror that becomes, I've seen this a million times. It makes you kind of cringe a little bit. But Flanagan, in all of the work that I've watched of him, he's always done a fantastic job of giving you a relatable story that is tragic, pulls you in, and I can't wait to see what he does on that big of a scale with real deal budgeting and not to say Netflix is a joke, but real deal, this is a movie, you know what I mean? This is big time for him. So I think he's going to impress a lot of people, and I implore anybody watching this, give Clayface a chance in 2026, because I think Flanagan's going to pull something off that is going to be so unique and so fun for several different reasons that I listed off.
I mean, makes a lot of valid points there. For those of you that don't know, Lucky, does cover a lot of horror movies over on our sister channel, LXDP, or Lucky XDP. The link will be in the description below, so definitely check that out if you're interested into the more horror genre. But I mean, you made a lot of good points here. Clayface, this is going to be in the DCU, so this is not Elseworlds, for those of you wondering out there. This is not the only spooky or rated R horror-esque movie that we'll be seeing. Back when James Gunn was announcing the first initial projects of Chapter 1, Swamp Thing was going to be one of the latter entries here in chapter 1 of the DCU, with James Mangold directing, and it could be rated R and more horror. So this one being Clayface, possibly following down the same route. We don't know if that's confirmed going to be rated R horror, but we can only assume due to Mike writing it. And we did see Clayface already make his DCU appearance. For those of you that don't know, he did appear in the Creature Commandos show here. Spoiler if you haven't seen it already, but his appearance in there, it's very much how he usually is in the comics. He's grotesque. So it'd be interesting to see this kind of a origin movie, if you will. I'm assuming they're going to go an origin route. And I think Alan Tudyk, I can't remember how to say his last name, but anyways, he voices him in the show. He also voices Dr. Phosphorus, if you were wondering what he sounds like outside of that. Great actor. I can only assume he'll reprise his role in the Clayface movie. And if he does, I know he'll put on a phenomenal performance. And I would honestly just love to see how they tackle this movie. It's definitely interesting to see, and it'll, be coming out 2026. Supergirl, Lanterns, also great projects to look forward to. So, I mean, the next 2 years, DCU's got a lot of things definitely is to be excited for. And something else to be excited for in the DCU is something a lot of fans have speculated. The actor himself has been wanting to play for such a long time. It has been confirmed that Lobo will be making a DCU appearance, and been confirmed to be Jason Momoa. Now, I know Lucky and I were talking about this off screen a little bit about how much of a fan Jason Momoa is of Lobo, how much he's been wanting to play him. I did like his portrayal of Aquaman in the Snyderverse. I don't like what they did with the movies per se, but I did like him in, Batman v Superman, that little snippet we saw him in the Zack Snyder Justice League movie. I think he was a good fit for the role, but I think he's going to be even more perfect for Lobo. And just imagining him and his conversations or interactions with Superman, like our DCU Superman, I think it's just going to be freaking hilarious. So I think this is exactly what a lot of fans have been wanting for. People have been saying, oh, DCU's nothing but fan castings. No, it's a passion project made by people who are passionate about these characters, about this universe, and played by actors who are also passionate about this world. So it's just awesome to see nothing but love and passion for the DC universe that we've seen so far.
I hope he's kind of a mainstay throughout the DCU. And I think, to your point, Zeus, Jason Momoa, it's not only a dream project, but it's something that he's very much so built for. He is big, burly guy, long hair. His voice kind of fits that biker, galactic assassin. For Jason Momoa, I really want to see him in action. And obviously, I know it's down the line. I'm going to hold out hope, because I know he's passionate about the character, and physically he fits the definition of what you would think Lobo would be. But I want to see him in the black leather with the red eyes and the cigar, beating people up. That's the last step for Lobo. He's kind of like DC's Ghost Rider, but more villainous. In Jason Momoa's words, will punch Superman or Batman in the face and then go kiss Wonder Woman. That is Jason Momoa, not Lucky. So commentators, shut up. I'm not about anything with comics or nothing like that. I'm just saying Jason said it, not me. I'm going to hold out hope. I think he's a good fit, and let's see what happens. If the writing's good and he looks good in the costume, we got ourselves a damn good Lobo. And this would be the first time that he pops up on a big platform like Lobo, right?
Yeah, I mean, this would be the first time we'll ever see him on the big screen, if I recall. I think the last time we saw him in live action was maybe Smallville. I can't recall. He made a lot of good points there. I kind of imagine him as less of the DC Ghost Rider and more of the DC Deadpool in terms of like his personality and antics. I think that'd be fun if they don't kill him off, don't really have him interact with a lot of characters much, and just have it as a goofy Deadpool-esque adventure that takes place over multiple movies. I think that would be probably the smarter route to go with. and something that a lot of fans would really enjoy. But that's just me.
I think he's the perfect character for that, where you can use him in several different mediums and not kill him off and make him just this goofy, badass alien traveler that he is. That just, you know what I mean? Like, buy fully into that comic accurate Lobo and just go for it, man. The 80s style of Rock is coming back for Jason, and let's see what happens, man. It's gonna be coming down the pipe, so let's get it rolling. I'm excited for it.
I mean, speaking of upcoming projects here, one project in particular has a lot of fans buzzing, positively and negatively. A lot of speculation and a lot of thoughts about what to expect here. It is the DCU Superman movie. Now, the trailer, or the teaser trailer, I should say, did drop a few weeks back, if I recall correctly. I did a trailer reaction for it. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch the trailer reaction. It's nothing but pure fanboy bliss. I'm not much for Superman. I've been saying this a lot. I'm more of a Batman fan than a Superman fan. I don't exactly like Superman for a variety of reasons, one of them being unrelatable, which I think is a huge issue for a lot of people. But I think this movie might fix that. This movie definitely seems to go, I don't know, more comic accurate in terms of the costumes, in terms of like maybe the vibe of what Superman's typically known for. But I feel like we're also going to be getting the fresher, more Zack Snyder Man of Steel vibes in terms of like the action, in terms of some of the internal dilemmas that Clark will be having to deal with. And James Gunn has said in an interview that Zack Snyder is one of the many inspirations that he has been using for Superman, mostly comics, but Zack Snyder was indeed one of his inspirations. He even talked to him about adding the trunks onto the Superman suit that David Corenswet was really adamant on. Zack couldn't make it work, and James could see why. But I think out of everything, this movie, it has a lot riding on its shoulders. It is the first DCU movie. This movie is going to make or break the vibe and expectations of the upcoming DCU. This movie will determine whether people will want to come back for more DC projects, more James Gunn projects, or if it's just like everything else that we've already seen, if this is just another Marvel copycat. And people are already saying so many negative things about the movie, even though it hasn't come out yet. They're already saying that they're just trying to be like Marvel, which isn't the case if we're being honest. There's no comparison here. I think the Superman trailer is ironically what Superman is. It's a symbol of hope for the DC universe, a symbol of hope for DC fans and what to expect for DC projects going forward. Like I said, Creature Commandos is currently out, the first project in the DCU, and we're already into an established universe. As James Gunn has already said before, the events of Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are canon, so those happened in there. I mean, Creature Commandos is pretty good. It's typical James Gunn humor, typical James Gunn style. It's an adult show for sure, but Superman is really just where things are going to change up. And again, I'm excited for it. I've never really been one for Superman. Man of Steel was really the one that really made me want to be into Superman. That Hans Zimmer soundtrack, glorious. I love Zack Snyder's cinematography, and this upcoming movie, it's giving me good vibes. And I'm not saying it's giving me, Henry Cavill Superman vibes, but I'm getting the same good jujus that I got when I watched that movie. But Lucky, what do you think? Have you seen the trailer yet?
Yeah, so I checked out the trailer the first day it dropped. Super excited. Like you said, I think this is a big symbol of hope for the DCU. Now, while Zeus talked about how the trailer made him feel, I'm going to talk about how the fans have made me feel. Let's get one thing freaking straight. Whether you are a fan of Henry Cavill Superman, whether you are a fan of Zack Snyder's universe, whether you are simply excited because James Gunn's rebooting it and whatnot, the arguing has got to effing stop. Here's the situation. If you are a fan of DC, you are rooting for David Corenswet. The way that we approach this matters, people. I'm talking to everybody. If you are in a plane and you don't like the pilot, you do not hope that the pilot crashes the plane, okay? And that goes for James Gunn in this scenario, right? You do not have to be a massive fan of James Gunn, but if you have any respect for the DC universe, you are sitting there hoping that James Gunn succeeds and that these movies are good. Put the biases aside. Put the whatever you have going on aside. The trailer looks good. You can have little qualms about the costumes. I'm not saying whatever it is that you're nitpicking on, you can, but do not outwardly hate it. If you have any respect or admiration for Henry Cavill, for Superman, for David Corenswet, for Zack Snyder, for James Gunn, That is not what any of those guys want. If you talk to Henry Cavill hopes David Cornsweet succeeds as Superman. You should hope so as well. If you are as much of a fan of Zack Snyder as you say you are, then respect him when he says that he's excited for James Gunn's DCU. We are not going at each other anymore, man. We should want this to be a success. And on the screen, I thought it looked incredible. You can have your own thoughts about it, right? I'm not saying to have some kind of hive mind and all think alike. You should hope that this movie succeeds. And if you're preying on its downfall, shame on you, because by God, it's coming. And by God, we've had Marvel, you know what I mean? And DC has struggled over the years. And it might not be your favorite choice for who plays Superman or who plays Lois, or who's at the helm, but it's coming. It looks good. It feels, like you said, the good juju. Stop with the nitpicky, nagging, hateful rhetoric that I'm seeing on the timeline about, screw David Cornsweet. He's never, bro, he doesn't know you. And he doesn't know me, or he doesn't know Zeus. You don't know David Cornsweet either. And I guarantee you it does more harm than good to sit there and pick at these people when they're trying to do a service and they're trying to do something to the fans' liking. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Let's all come together and let's hope that DC freaking succeeds. Let's hope that DC gets over the hump. So let's come together and let's hope that David Cornsweet is the Superman for the future.
Yeah, you did bring up a good point, because the fans for DC has been very divided ever since the Snyderverse began. Like you said, everyone can have their own tastes, everyone can have their own opinions. I'm not saying the Snyderverse was perfect, but I did thoroughly enjoy the films that he directed. Man of Steel, one of my favorite comic book movies. Batman v Superman, very enjoyable. Zack Snyder's Justice League, awesome film, 4 hours long, but awesome film. Wonder Woman, fantastic. You may not like some of the casting choices for the upcoming DCU. You may not like some of the projects coming out, but you can definitely say it's been better than The Flash, Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, Birds of Prey. We can all agree these are definitely better than those. For DC fans, you don't want to be like Marvel fans, where their cult-like admiration for everything that comes out, good or bad, is what drives them. We want DC to succeed. We want them to be as big as we know that they can be. Saying and hoping for everyone's downfall, it's a bit much, guys. It's honestly a bit much. People that are still saying that Zack Snyder should have taken over and that the Snyderverse is getting bought by Netflix, it's not true. Zack Snyder has said in an interview several times that he's not going to come back and do other DC projects unless it's The Dark Knight Returns. And he said he wants James Gunn to succeed in his DCU. He said he'd come on board and make that project with James Gunn if he wanted to. James Gunn's had talks with Henry Cavill. He's had talks with Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot. He's had talks with Zack Snyder. What those entailed, we don't know, but everyone seemed to come out pretty happy. Especially Henry Cavill, despite the debacle of what happened with Black Adam. Honestly, let's just give it a chance. We're going to be having different directors and writers be in charge of these projects going forward. It's not just James Gunn helming everything. He's just the start. He's just starting things off, giving everybody a taste of what's to come. I definitely think the DCU's in good hands. I've been saying this since, the announcement, and since James Gunn took over. He's a great director. He's definitely got experience of doing different genres. Honestly, I don't see why DC fans want this to fail, because if this fails, let's think about Warner Brothers here, guys. They're not exactly reasonable people, okay? They're not exactly going to do what the fans want. They're just going to replace James Gunn and try it again, or they'll just do what they did with the Snyderverse and just start pumping out movies without any plan or guide. Let's just wait till things come out. Like I said, we have a lot of promising things coming up here, some questionable things, if you will. Me personally, I don't know how I feel about a Clayface movie, but I'm interested. And you know what? That's just where we're gonna wrap things up here for you guys. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on the Clayface movie coming out, Jason Momoa coming into the DCU as Lobo, and your thoughts on the Superman trailer if you haven't told us already. I'm Captain Zeus, and that there is Lucky, and we will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.